Thank you all for being here tonight. How y'all feeling? What a great night. What a great tribe. So, how sweet and wonderful that Berkeley Haas decided to give an award like this to a guy like me. An innovation award. Because I didn't invent a new product or a new service or cool app. Rather, my team and I are social innovators. We're trying to create innovative, creative, market-based solutions to social and environmental problems. We're trying to wed social purpose and business. And what better place for us to celebrate that tonight than here? Give it up for us. So the good news is that awards like this for social innovation are more and more common. 20 years ago, when I got my MBA at Haas Berkeley, 96, if you wanted to, is there any other 96s in the house? Woo! So, at that time, there were kind of two worlds. If you wanted to do good in the world, you joined the nonprofit sector, and if you wanted to make money, you went to the for-profit sector, and the two were kind of far apart. And the good news is that over the last 25 years, we've seen a real convergence in which nonprofiteers like us at Fairtrade USA, yes, we're a nonprofit, but we're learning the tools of business, and we're trying to run at the speed of business, and we're trying to harness the power of markets to the task of improving livelihoods and protecting the environment. And similarly, the world of business is also discovering social purpose. In fact, I would say that leading businesses today are discovering that social and environmental good is not just a nice to have. In fact, it is becoming part of the core of the emerging business model, the business model of the future. I think we've seen that the old approaches to social and environmental problems, government regulation or well-intentioned nonprofits, those approaches are not scaling fast enough. And so we need the business community to lean in. We need the business community to embrace purpose. And not as corporate philanthropy, not as CSR, corporate social responsibility, not something on the side. We need the business community to see the opportunity to create shareholder value by incorporating social and environmental value into the business model. And I'm so excited. We see the data now in which companies that perform very high on social and environmental indicators are also performing above average on financial terms as well. So we're seeing this emerging future come together right before our eyes. Let me give you an example. The coffee industry is an area where Fairtrade has worked for many years. It was my door into this whole arena of business with purpose. And today, coffee prices are at a historic low. Now, you wouldn't know it because we're paying $3, $4, $5 for a cup of fancy coffee out there. But coffee farmers right now are making about 2 cents per cup. And I can tell you, even in a country like Nicaragua, where I ate rice and beans and corn tortillas 3 times a day for 11 years, even in a country like Nicaragua, you can't put food on the table for 2 cents a cup. And so we see 25 million families around the world who make their livelihoods growing coffee struggling to survive. Part of the crisis on our southern border right now is related to the crisis in the coffee lands. And so organizations like ours feel compelled to rise to this humanitarian crisis, but the business community does as well, because companies like Starbucks and Peet's and high-quality coffee companies, Blue Bottle and others, they depend on quality. Farmers can't invest in quality if they're struggling just to feed their kids, right? So the coffee industry needs for farmers to make enough living, not only to provide for their families, but to invest in quality. There's an alignment of interests. right? The business interest and the humanitarian interest are aligned. So I would argue that what Michael Porter calls shared value is the emerging paradigm for business. It's this notion that we're overcoming the trade-off mentality of the past between profits and sustainability. We're embracing a new reality, which is shared interest and shared value. The fate of farmers and workers and ecosystems around the world are inextricably connected to the fate of the businesses that we may be leading here today. Let me tell you a quick story about Ana Garza. I was in Mexico recently visiting a fair trade tomato farm. Ana Garza is a farm worker on this farm. Ana was born into poverty. She's been a farm worker all her life. Her family never had their own land. They always worked on others' land. And she started working on this farm about 5 years ago, and about the same time, the farm applied for and eventually received fair trade certification. That meant they had to meet a very high bar in terms of wages and working conditions and worker safety and health and housing and other protections for workers. They also participated in a whole worker engagement model where their voice mattered. The workers there talk about respect. They talk about dignity. That is the reality on fair trade farms. That was the new reality for Ana Garza, a completely different reality that she had experienced on every other farm she had worked. As a result of fair trade and as a result of the premiums that our partners like Costco and Whole Foods and Safeway pay back to farms like this, these farm workers were able to do incredible things on this farm. They are doing incredible things on this farm. They've created a scholarship fund to keep their kids in school. School is free, but uniforms aren't, and shoes aren't. And in Mexico, you have to have shoes on your feet and a uniform in order to be able to go to high school. So Ana and her peers sent their kids to high school. They created a health program. They built a community center and have computer classes for their kids and for adults. They built a soccer field, which has become the heart of their community. They've done so much, but Ana always comes back to the scholarship because her daughter, Julia, dreams of not being a farm worker. She loves her mama, she loves her parents, but she doesn't want to be a farm worker. Julia finished high school thanks to this scholarship fund. She went on to college thanks to this scholarship fund. She's studying accounting. She doesn't want to work on the farm. She wants to dream a different dream. And what Ana, her mom, says is, thanks to you, thanks to fair trade, my daughter can dream a different dream, and dreams come true. So I love the story of changing lives, the lives that we can change simply by buying a pound of tomatoes. How cool is that? Buy a pound of fair trade tomatoes and help keep a kid in school and make dreams come true. I love that part of the story, but there's another part of the story, because if you talk to Ricardo Crisantes, who owns the farm, he'll say, well, yeah, fair trade benefits my workers, but it also benefits me as a wealthy landowner, because it means my workers are happier, they don't want to leave, so turnover is lower. That means my labor recruitment costs go down, my training costs go down. Productivity is up on the farm. Fair trade is good for business. If you talk to Whole Foods, I was in Austin 2 weeks ago, we were talking about the program. Whole Foods says, well, fair trade is good for our business. It makes our supply chain more secure. We're less worried about a child labor scandal in our supply chain because of this model. We see more quality. We see more productivity coming off of these farms. And fair trade gives us a way to talk about what we're doing with the consumer. So there's benefit for the business. If you ask a consumer, well, why do you buy fair trade products? Consumers say they taste great and they make me feel good. I want to feel like I'm making a difference in the world. And if you look at the research, millennials and Gen Z consumers, I've got one of each, they index really high in terms of their expectations of corporate behavior. They expect companies not as an add-on, but as a part of business. They expect companies to do the right thing. They expect companies to take care of workers in the supply chain and to take care of the environment. So this is a glimpse of our collective future, and I just love models that bring interests together and forge new models of business where all the stakeholders win. I think there's a real opportunity there, especially for this next generation of Haas MBAs, to go out and accelerate our progress towards this future that I think we're getting a glimpse of now. A future where business and social justice and sustainability are not at odds, but on the contrary, are intimately connected. It's what John Elkington called the triple bottom line, thinking about not just financial returns, but social and environmental returns from the businesses that we lead. I want to thank Berkeley Haas for this wonderful recognition. I feel so moved to be honored by this amazing institution, and so proud of Berkeley for being proud of me. And I want to thank all of you. We're a tribe. We are kindred spirits in a common cause, and I thank you for that. Thank you.